Matt Lenihan Boxing, social in association with Empire Fight Store and our Kings. We're back. Usual weekly catch up. Gareth A. Davies. Gareth, a few things to digest from the weekend just gone. I think it's only right we start with Josh Taylor, a guy who's had this magnificent career. He's one of the finest fighters from these shores,
Yeah,
regardless of what anyone says. He became undisputed in, less than 20 fights. And look, he came up short this weekend. He dived into the welterweight division, I think, against, not with a tune-up, with a fighter who was raring to go and good for the weight. What did you make of the weekend and Josh Taylor and obviously Ekow producing the victory?
yeah. I mean, you can't put Josh Taylor in. I mean, with all due respect to Ekow Essuman, um, the Josh Taylor who, like you say, is almost a modern great. Certainly was a modern great between 2018 and 2022 on that run with Ryan Martin, Victor Postol, Ivan Baranchik,
Mhm.
Regis Prograis, Jose Ramirez. That have I missed someone out there? Um,
I think there
Appin and
was, yeah,
Konsong, Appin and
Kong
Konsong
Song, yeah.
in lockdown. One of the big things Josh did do was he achieved his greatness in lockdown. So there weren't hordes of thousands of travelling fans to Vegas, which is a great pity for him. And obviously he was promoted by Top Rank at the time and latterly by Queensbury. I think we've seen the best of him, if I'm honest. I've known Josh a very long time. Was there when he won Commonwealth Gold 11 years ago at the SSE Hydro, same event, same venue as Saturday night. But Ekow Essuman was the right test to show that at this stage in his career, Josh has been to the well so many times it's not there anymore, and it's not there at 10 stone 7. That's my view. He may have a different take on it. I think he could have stepped up to welterweight 2 years ago when he was draining himself. He's been through a lot. If you actually look at the first Jack Catterall loss, it's probably 4 losses on the bounce. Josh will always be right up there in my estimation, right up there with the very best. As I say, I had the privilege to cover an enormous amount of his career, if not all of it. Was there at
Hmm.
all the big fights. He's always brilliant to deal with. I get on personally with him very well. And when I say he's been to the well too many times. I only say it out of respect for the man that I don't want to see him get hurt in the ring, and I don't want to see him get thrown against in the shark-infested waters of the welterweight division right now. Had he won on Saturday night, I think I was kind of teasing, putting out this idea of, come on, let's put him in with Conor Benn up in
Yeah.
Scotland at Murrayfield, or with a big crowd, and let Conor Benn be animated and passionate and the villain, and let's let Josh walk out to the bagpipes with 30,000 watching. All of that was possible, could have been possible. There was a time, every time I interviewed Josh 2 or 3 years ago, we talked about a Terence Crawford fight at welterweight.
Yeah.
It was there. It was a possibility. It was on the cards at one point. But that's not how the ladder has grown. That's not how the parabola has moved. And I think, as I say, I can remember writing a piece on him in the Ring magazine, and it was about his purple patch, and that purple patch was 2018 to 2022, and as you rightly say, undisputed inside, was it 19 fights or whatever? So
Less, I think, yeah. Crazy.
yeah, so but also very decorated amateur, great box fighter, guy that had a great chin, could get involved in a war. He wasn't even beaten up on Saturday night. There just wasn't that pop there, that snap there. He might say, "Yeah, well, I had too much ring rust," but that was the Josh Taylor of old for 5, 6 rounds, which I think he won. I think he won 5 of the first 6 in my view, and I think Ekow won the last 6 rounds. Very much a fight of two halves, and maybe a career of two halves in some ways.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fair assessment, fair way of looking at it. Someone
Well, thank you
who
very much, Matthew.
No, it's very balanced view. I want to talk about the undercard. Moses Itauma, just quickly. Let's just touch on how special this boy's looking at this stage of his career. I'm always a bit reluctant because I see everyone trying to throw him in with every top level fighter, and we seemingly always forget he's only a baby still in the sport. He's still playing his trade. I don't think, obviously, he's not yet had that acid test where someone's caught him with a clean shot and you think, oh, he's took that well. I've not really seen
No,
that
we
yet.
haven't. We
I've not
haven't.
seen, so I don't. I'm a bit reluctant to almost go, yeah, chuck him in with him because I think as fans, it's a fickle world we live in. He gets chucked in there. If something happens, everyone would go, why have we done that? It's too soon. But his performances
Or
are
they would say,
outstanding.
oh, or they would say he isn't what you made him out to be.
Yeah,
And weirdly, even though the O shouldn't have to be protected, the mask of invincibility, the aura of invincibility is always there when people haven't been beaten. So I get it. And look, here's my theory on it. I've even been asked to do a crystal ball and a magic wand in the last week by some people who I work for and say, come on then, chart his route to undisputed. And I've gone Wallin, Hergovich, Bacoli, Parker, Dubois. If Dubois beats Usyk, there we go. There's his next 5 fights, and he's the undisputed champion. And it's possible, and it's plausible. It really is, because there's no chink in his armor apparently when he spars with people and behind the scenes. And the famous story of him taking off his tie and his shirt and his school blazer at 15 and getting in with Joe Joyce to spar, driving across London to spar with Joe Joyce. So he's got all the rudiments. He's got all the minerals. He's got the cojones. He's got the physicality. He's got a very small amateur background and a building body of work as a pro. What we see is fast hands, fast feet, great IQ, real resonance. Balogun was a step down on Saturday night from Dempsey McKean, in my view, in terms of what he is as a fighter. But he handled him brilliantly. But in real terms, that isn't anyone in the top 10. That's not a Fabio Wardley or a Joseph Parker or Ajit Kabayel. So they do need to give him 3 or 4 more fights, in my view. I was just crystal balling there with that.
no,
But he is capable of doing that. That's the thing. He's capable. But why risk that commodity? Frank Warren, George Warren, Francis Warren, who's managing him, they know what they're doing in the sport. They won't overrush him, but I don't think they'll wait too long. He may be hard to hold back.
his timing's impeccable. If you look at the shot where he actually where obviously the guy's rushing in, it's split seconds, and that's I was really impressed with him. I want to talk.
But Balogun is nothing.
No. I know.
Without disrespecting him as a man or a fighter, in comparison to Moses Itauma, they are worlds apart. They're universes apart.
Yeah.
But what Moses hasn't done so far is make any major mistakes.
Yeah, correct. I want to talk. Last time we spoke, we were speaking on the Tyson Fury situation, and you were saying, look, Radar's out. Believe he'll come back, etc. I want to ask, do you still believe that? He's come out and sort of he's doubled down. Now, I spoke to Frank Smith and said, look, I saw Tyson in Monaco, I saw you in Monaco, and automatically I'm like, surely you're having that conversation with him when you're on some boat, 50 cents there. Surely there's a conversation. Surely there's a conversation to be had. And he says, I don't like talking about boxing when I thought, yeah, come on. But Tyson's almost reaffirmed his retirement. Does that change your view on anything, or is it a case of no, we know what we're gearing up for?
All he did was said, I'm still retired. And it only takes one phone call, one DM, one session around a boardroom table to get this fight on with Anthony Joshua. I mean, they're throwing out these fights for Anthony Joshua like Jared Anderson and Dillian White they were talked about, a 2-fight deal with Turkel Al-Sheikh.
Yeah.
They don't do anything, those 2 fights, in my view. Dillian White is good, but not Jared Anderson. I don't see what that does in any way, shape, or form for Anthony Joshua, if what I read is correct. But no. Yesterday, Tyson Fury did 3 training sessions with Kid Galahad. I know that doesn't mean back in camp. They had a run and 2 gym sessions and a drive in an open-top car. That looked like one of the sessions. And nice to see Barry around as well, Barry Awad, Kid Galahad. No, I'm still in the firm belief that at some point soon, Tyson Fury is going to make the decision to come back and fight Anthony Joshua.
You mentioned Joshua's 2-fight deal there, so we don't have to go too much into that. I read the same reports as you. I don't see what Jared Anderson respectfully does. He needs to come have another few more fights himself before I think he looks at them kind of fights. See, the news came out last night. I spoke to Dan Rafael. Apparently, Teofimo versus Devin Haney was agreed on Tuesday, and now the fight's in jeopardy due to Teo's recent outbursts online on Twitter. That was a good fight. I thought we were heading towards Teo versus Boots. Then all of a sudden, this is a bit of a curveball. But Haney apparently agreed everything on his end. But yeah, now apparently the fight's in jeopardy. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I think that Twitter rant has been taken down, but it looks like Teo Lopez is blaming Turkey Al Sheikh for the fight.
Yeah, he's fired from boxing. He put another tweet out which got taken down. I don't know. I mean, speaking to Dan, we're not putting words in anyone's mouth because we haven't spoken to. I have not spoken to Teo, but I wonder if it's a case of he was promised maybe X amount of money for fighting Boots.
Yeah,
Boots
that's exactly what I think it is. It's money. It's come down to money, and he's sown a fit of pique over the fees he was going to get for it, and it hasn't worked out for him. And he's bluffing. Maybe he's bluffing, but that fight can happen in the future. They're both still young. It can happen at any point in the future. It's a fight I want to see, like you say. And Teo and Boots Ennis is a fight I want to see as well.
It kind of opens the door just quickly before you go to. I spoke to Brian Norman 2 weeks ago, and he was a bit concerned with all the talk of Boots fighting Teo and all this stuff, saying, "I've just got to have one fight, and then we can do the negotiation, unified titles." Opens the door for that fight. I think that's a good fight, although it's not one maybe that people are talking about.
Oh, he's the number 2 in the division. Right now, he's the number 2 in the division. He deserves to sit there. Barrios is number 3. Hopefully, he's not too damaging to Manny Pacquiao, my mate Manny Pacquiao, when they step in the ring. But no, Brian Norman is number 2 in the division. Teo's the number 1 in the 140 division, in the 10-stone division. So, but I'm not saying you can't be successful at welterweight, but just look at what happens when people step up 7 pounds sometimes.
I agree. Well, look, we'll catch up next week. I know you've got other commitments now. I appreciate you jumping on, as always.
And chat to Justice Hooney right now, yeah.
Absolutely. Great fight coming up, Walt.
It's a really good fight a week on Saturday at Portman Road. I'll catch up with you next week, ahead of that, if you like.
Absolutely. We'll talk about
it. Lovely.
Appreciate
Cheers,
it.
Lifesaver. Thanks very much.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers.